What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. We have something really exciting for you guys planned today because we're not in the vegetable garden, as you can see, obviously. We're actually out in front of a house that is not ours. And that's because we're actually getting the opportunity today to work on a blank slate when it comes to front yard landscaping. A lot of you have asked us to do these videos. We don't really have, obviously, a blank slate to work with our garden. And so I actually asked my cousins, since they are new homeowners, if they would mind if we came in, kind of gave them some guidance and got their house back up to the date, because this is actually a historic district that we're located in. And so why don't you guys talk a little bit about kind of the area and where we're located, and then we'll kind of give them some background as to kind of what we have planned.
All right, so we're in the geographical center of Detroit. It's the Boston Edison Historical District. The neighborhood was founded in 1921, but this house was actually built in 1913. The original owner was the founder of the Rotary Club in Michigan, so that's a bit of a fun fact. He had some hardware stores in town, but I think he's probably more well known for the Rotary Club.
Yeah, and so we were here last week for the Eastern Market Flower Day, and it was really cool because we actually got a tour of the town and this area. And Henry Ford lived here.
Barry Gordy.
Ty Cobb. Yeah. So if you're from Michigan, you know kind of some of these names, and really just a real rich history here. So obviously, Jake and Megan just purchased this house, and you purchased it
last year.
Last year, yep. So not a whole lot has been done, and there's been a lot of neglect in terms of just overall maintenance to the overall landscaping. The beds are not in great shape, and so one thing that we're going to be doing is kind of walking you guys through what you can do, because our mission for today is essentially to not only give them something that they're going to be happy with, but also because the area has such a rich history, we want to basically predate this house and the landscaping to match, because a lot of the landscaping here doesn't quite match, and the way things are laid out, we're kind of just done to fill things out and kind of just act as placeholders. So we're kind of just coming in and doing that. And I think it's going to serve as a great experience for all you guys as you follow along this series about re-landscaping your house, or what to do if you have kind of a blank slate to work with, because it can be really overwhelming. And so we're going to break those things down, and hopefully you guys are really going to enjoy this episode. So the first thing we're going to do is Jake and Megan and I are going to walk around, kind of just take a little tour of the house, or like the grounds of the house, so we can see kind of what we're working with, some trouble spots, and then we'll break them down into episodes for you guys so they're easy to watch and enjoyable as well. Ready to go, guys?
Ready.
Cool. All right. Let's go, team. Yeah. All right, let's go. So we're here with the front of the house, and this is kind of the part that we're going to start on in this upcoming series, is addressing the actual entranceway. One of the things about this entranceway is, well, first, there's a lot of stuff going wrong, but there's also a lot of stuff going right. The first thing you want to look for is the type of house that you're working with, because obviously if this is the front of the house should match the front yard landscaping. And the house is what we call a hybrid house. It started out as an English Tudor. An English Tudor can be seen, it's very indicative by the angle of the roof. It's a very steep roof, usually has a pitch to it, and there's not a whole lot of square, flat tops, things like that you'd see in more of Spanish style. It is known as stucco. That's where you actually take plaster of Paris and pull it out with texture. So it's very much a stucco style English Tudor. But one thing that we actually analyzed in looking at the house is that it's not quite all English Tudor. There's actually quite a lot of Spanish influence. One of those being obviously the sunroom that you'll see in the back there, very much kind of a Spanish vista style sunroom, and also the fact that there is not cedar slats found on the face of the house. That's very indicative of a kind of a stucco style English Tudor, and since it's not there, one of the things you kind of look at is there might have been some Spanish influence. Obviously in the area we're in, there's a lot of English settlement, so that kind of does tell me that it's primarily English, but without the cedar slats there, it does kind of also feel a little Spanish as well. So that kind of led into the flowers that we chose, which are going to be kind of a hybrid of both Spanish and English, which is great. Kind of a maybe a southeastern European or a southwestern European kind of feel there. So that's kind of what we're going for, and let's go check out the rest of the house. All right, so here with the next part of the house, this is what we're calling the
washed out corner.
So this is the washed out corner. We're kind of going to give each part some names so you guys can follow along. The washed out corner, when we were here, we're kind of analyzing some trouble spots, but this actually has a lot of potential as well. So how much sun does this spot usually get here?
For the most part, it's fairly shaded. I mean, so our house is facing north, so we've got the west going that way, east going that way, and so it gets a few hours of daylight every day. But for the most part, pretty well shaded, I'd say.
So it's got some shade we're working with, but one of the biggest things that we're battling that we noticed right off the bat is that it's got really poor soil health, and that's kind of what leads to the name washed out corner. The gutters were kind of non-existent, you could say, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much non-existent. And so every time it rained, kind of what happened in this spot here?
Oh, it would just pool in there. And then not only that, but because we've had this house for a year now, but for the first, until this point, we've been so focused on the inside renovation. And so we've had dumpsters sitting in this driveway, and so all the debris just sort of washes into this bed and it just killed it all. So now here we are trying to kind of bring it back to life.
Well, it's got a great potential. I mean, there's definitely usable soil there, but there's obviously a lack of life just because there's almost no weeds even growing there. And so now they've got some gutters installed, it really brings the potential back to this area where it's going to stop that erosion, stop that washing out issue, and it's going to be something we can work with. So that's going to be another episode that we're going to work into this series. The first one, like I said, is going to be the entranceway. This will be the second part of the episode, or the second part of this series, which is going to be the washed out corner. So let's go check out, I think the other part of the house that I'm most excited about, we're kind of calling it the Spanish Vista corner, just because it really emphasizes a lot of the Spanish traits of the house that I think are pretty cool and have a lot of stuff to work with. So let's go check out that part of the house. All right, so now we're here with what we're calling the Spanish Vista corner. This is the one that I'm most excited about just because there's so much space to work with. And so we're actually here with Megan. She's going to kind of talk about the space and some stuff that they analyze on a day-to-day basis. So kind of tell us about this space here first.
So when we first bought the house, the previous owners had actually put in some decent perennials. It just become kind of overgrown, and we're just looking to kind of bring some more organization to it and some new flowers, like you said, Spanish inspired, to kind of bring in a nice variety and make it organized and pretty. Yeah,
so how much sun, I obviously see that we're out of the risk of this tree, and then there's some trees in the back, but there's some good sun exposure. About how many hours do we get here in this spot?
So most of the morning is straight sunlight here, so
cool.
I'd say probably 4 or 5 hours.
So one of the really nice things, because there is so much sun exposure, we're able to plant some more things that wouldn't do well on other parts of the house that have some more shade. So that's what we're going to kind of focus on, is the sun part, because there's a lot of beautiful flowers that's going to bring color and bright and kind of some bright aspects to the house. Because the house is black and white, we need some pops of color to kind of bring it back. We're going to choose very kind of Spanish colors as well for this part of the house, but we're also going, on the shadier sides, we're going with flowers that are a little more forgiving, but are still going to give some pops of purple and pink to kind of really bring in that English feel as well. So we have a lot of oranges and yellows and reds, kind of that warm spectrum, and then some more purples and stuff over there. But we're also kind of going to bring in a fusion of flowers, as well as reuse a lot of the flowers here to kind of tie it all together. So explain to me what you're going to do with the sunroom.
So behind the Spanish Vista flower bed here it was originally a sunroom, but when we bought the house, the middle window there is boarded up, and then the rest of the windows are all glass block right now. So eventually we do want to open up that room and make it a traditional sunroom once again with windows all around. So it'll be really nice to sit there and be able to enjoy the garden view.
Yeah, so that's one of our definite things, is we want to give some color, something to look at, but we also don't want too much height that's going to block those windows and that view, because ultimately they're going to want to look out. So we chose something that's kind of medium height, a lot of color, and we're going to go through that in previous episodes. The final thing that we're going to do is we're going to do something called cataloging or inventorying, and this is something that a lot of you guys can do if you buy a house that has some plants that can be incorporated in. There's a ton of hostas and a ton of sedum. These are wonderful options, number one, because they are perennials, and number two, because they were already here, so they're already accustomed to the soil. They're going to do very well, and there's a lot of them, so even though they're in places I probably wouldn't put them, we can pull them out, transplant them where they need to be, and it can help save cost, as well as help just kind of tie in the overall design, because it's not all bad. And that's what I really want you guys to focus on, is that I think a lot of times people just want to rip everything up and start over. But it's a lot like buying a house. You know, you buy a house, it's been a lot of work, right? I mean, it's been a fair amount of work, but it had good bones to it. And so it's a lot like that. You know, you want to find the good bones to the garden and keep those and then kind of work off of that, so you're not basically tearing it all down and starting from scratch, because that can be very expensive. Which is the final thing that I wanted to talk about, is that we're on a budget. You know, we don't have a blank check, and so we're trying to keep this total project under $300. That includes all of the perennials and annuals, including soil that we're bringing in, because you know, $300 is kind of something that we felt was not super expensive, but it's going to get us enough of a start to really have established, you know, a lot of established plants. Yep, and we're well below that. We're going to go through the plants we're going to plant and kind of the varieties in future episodes when we talk about each part of the house. And right now we're only at about $150 total cost, so we're well below that budget, leaving some room for future, you know, for future investment. If you guys want to put in some other flowers and stuff, there'll be some homework that you guys can do once we're gone. So
Sounds great.
So that is the house in its entirety, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys stay tuned for these episodes. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to bring you guys in for these episodes as they come out, and it's gonna be a great series you guys can follow along with and still take a really good information home from it, even though we're not in the vegetable garden. So I'll catch you all on tomorrow's episode, where we talk about the entranceway. We're gonna bring that up to speed and work from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. We'll catch you all later. See ya.